Hey neighbors, Kevin here with etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the TruXedo Sentry CT hard tonneau cover here on our 2024 Ford F-150. If you have a truck just like our F-150 here and you're looking to cover up any items that you might have stored in the bed, that way you can protect it from snow, sleet, rain, any kind of element that would affect the quality of that product, or if you're just looking for some added security, you don't want people with prying eyes looking into your bed, seeing what you might have in there, and maybe getting the idea that they could take it out, then a tonneau cover is going to be the solution for you. Taking a look inside the bed, you can see we did have some snowfall here a couple days ago, and it's not totally melted because we do still have a little bit of ice, but the general idea here is that the whole bed is wet now. So now we have to deal with that. If I was needing to load in cardboard, any kind of material that would soak up that water, now I have a bigger issue where that could have been solved with a tonneau cover to block all that snow off. Now another concern a lot of people have with tonneau covers is that, hey, is that going to be able to hold up to all of that snow? How much weight can this actually hold? With this one being a hard cover, it does have a 400-pound capacity when evenly distributed, which is typically how the snow is going to come and fall down on top of here. Now I wouldn't say that you can sit up on your tonneau cover, you can't really walk on it or anything like that, because it does need to be evenly distributed across it. So that's more so for your snowfall. As for theft deterrence, with this being a hard cover with the inner portion of these panels all being aluminum, it's going to take a lot more than just a standard utility knife to cut through it. You might need an actual saw and quite a bit more time. And with it being aluminum, it's going to make a whole lot more noise. So it's going to help deter people, give them less of a reason to try and break in and take anything out of your bed. Another thing with this being a polyester vinyl mix instead of just that vinyl, this will hold up a little bit better. You're not going to see as much discoloration. And generally, even with my vinyl tonneau cover that I have on my truck, you'll see like little scratches and nicks in it if you're not really taking care of the cover. With this one, you shouldn't see that as bad just because it's a more sturdy material. With this being a flush mount, this is going to sit just a ½ inch up above the bed rails. It doesn't fully block your stake pocket, so you should be able to get any kind of stake pocket accessory in there. I don't know if you could get most of the ladder racks that mount into there though. That might be a fight just because this does sit super close to it, and typically with those they'll have a base and that kind of sits a little bit wider than that stake pocket. But let's go ahead, we'll roll this up, and to do so you want to pull on the little cable right here. That's going to unlatch our latch right here and allow us to roll it up. Now this does not roll as tight as a typical vinyl cover just because you have all that metal in there. But we can still give you an idea. On each side you're going to also have a latch, which is going to be this hook with a little cam strap on it that you can adjust. And behind our cover, right here at the bulkhead, we're going to have a little spot to loop that into. So pull that up, and then we can pull our cam latch a little bit tighter, make sure this is really holding it down. With it rolled up and our straps on there, you are going to kind of have it a little bit more oblong than you would real nice and tight, just because the straps are going to have it sit a certain way. You'll kind of understand more when you actually do it for yourself. To give you an idea of how much that's going to take up for our rear window, that's about 7 inches tall, so that's about a third of our window. So you are going to have a little bit less visibility when you have this rolled up versus when it's actually all rolled out onto the bed. And then another thing is that from the bulkhead back, you're losing about 12 inches of bed space. So if you're hauling maybe like a deep freezer or something like that, you might run into some issues where now I'm missing 12 inches of my bed space if anything's going to be sticking up above that. So I've had a tonneau cover for about 6 years now with my truck. Speaking from my experience, I do like that this is a roll-up. The hard covers where it folds up kind of blocks too much, and honestly they're super heavy, so they can be a bit of a pain. So I've stuck with a soft roll-up for the entirety of this, but I've tried out a few other ones. I would say I do like that this is kind of a blend of both, where you can still roll it up, but you have that hard aluminum sheeting in there, so that way you have more protection than I have, and kind of gives you something where you can set stuff on if you're just sitting at the back of your truck. Now the one thing I do find is a bit of a hassle is when I have my cover down and it's dark out, I can't see anything in my bed, and that blocks my third brake light from being able to shine down in the bed. So if that's going to be an issue for you, I would definitely look into some lights. We offer a few different LED strips specifically for your bed. And what I would do is I would just stick them to the bottom of this rail just because it's pretty wide, gives you a nice spot to mount to, and then you can just run a little switch and have it mounted to the end of the tailgate area here and give you better visibility. But with all that said, let's get into the install, show you how we got it in place. So the first step in our installation process is going to be just kind of getting everything set out, everything organized, make sure you have all your components, and then also going through and kind of just cleaning off your bed rails. Now, if your truck's not too, super new and you got some dirt on here, you are going to want to wipe down those bed rails with a cloth and then just some rubbing alcohol just to kind of clean that up so we get a nice, clean, even seal with our rails, which are going to have a rubber gasket on it. So we want to make sure that we don't have anything that could potentially ruin our seal, and then we have water leaking in through our rails. But following that, we will set up our rail along our bed rail, and on the end of it you're going to see it has a little foam piece. We want to make sure that foam is just butting up against our bulkhead. We don't want that sitting on top of it. Now I'm going to start with the middle clamp so this can hold itself up, and when you look at that clamp you're going to have the bolt head facing in towards the center of our bed, and there's going to be these teeth on here that match up with the teeth on the inside of our rail. So we will slip this up in here. So I've got that top, or our rail side in. Now I'm going to get our bed rail. I'm going to go to the second loop here at the bottom. Kind of tuck our clamp up higher so we got more room to work. And then using a 1/2 inch socket, I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit, just so it can hold itself. But I'm not going crazy tight just yet. So I just loosened it a little bit so I could push it forward. I'm still using that center clamp just to hold it in place, but we want to make sure that this is kind of butting up with the bed rail, because if this is sitting out too far, then when we pull our tailgate up, it's not going to be able to fit. We want just that gasket there to kind of fill in that little gap so that water can't get through. So on the other side, we have this thicker gasket that goes against our bulkhead. That's going to get compressed in just a bit. A little bit sitting over is fine, but we don't want this totally on top of it, because then it's going to throw our tonneau cover up a little bit, and then you'll have a leak over at the other end here where the gasket meets the bed rail. So from each end, we are going to need to measure out 8 inches, and our clamp needs to just be just past that 8 inches. So if we line it up, we could probably do it right in the middle here, but that might end up blocking you whenever you're trying to hook stuff onto your hook here. So we might go a little bit offset. I might even kind of just pull it in a little bit more so it's just not in the way. And then on the other side, we'll need to do the same thing, but there's a little bit more space at the end of the bed, so that side will be a little bit easier. Right here is 10 inches, and that's a perfect spot for it. So we'll slip this in right here. Now we're just going to repeat that same process over on our passenger side. Now that we have each of our clamps in place, we can fully tighten them down. This isn't a thing that's going to be torqued down, so you just kind of got to know when to stop here, just when it starts to get real tight. We don't want to go too much and then end up having an issue either, though. So just like I said before, you are going to want to wipe down the bulkhead as well as the bed rails. It's a little bit harder because this is a textured spray and liner. So we want to make sure we really don't have any debris that could potentially cause a gap with our seal. Next, we're going to put on our bulkhead seal, which is going to have an L shape. We want to make sure that this portion that's sticking up is going to be facing in towards the rear of our bed, because that's going to be butting up against our cover. And we're going to have it sit down just like that, right in between the bed rail caps. This will be a little bit extra long, so you can cut a tiny bit off. But I'm gonna kind of line it up first, make sure it's nice and straight, and then we can peel back the backing on the 3M tape. I'm gonna pull just a little bit at a time and kind of work my way across. Next, I want to use an airline tube cutter just so I can get a nice straight cut. And I can probably trim just a tiny bit more off, but it's always best to go little by little because you can't add more. I'll tuck that under the bed rail cap. And then we can kind of just give it a nice even press along the way. Make sure it really sticks down. Next step is going to be laying our tarp onto our rail here. The bulkhead side is going to be what's sticking out at the end of this because you latch that side in first and then you'd roll the tarp out. You might need an extra set of hands just to kind of help you get it in there. Or you can kind of pick it up and gently set it down. I peeled off one side of the wrapping already, and now I'm going to take off the other. This little bolt head right here is going to drop into the hole that's in our rail, and then this clip is going to kind of come in from the bottom to hold on to it. So we'll line that up just a little bit better. See if I need to come back just a bit. Now that we have those bolts poking through the hole on our rail, the next step is to push this clip over, and to do so we're going to need to loosen up this bolt. So we'll come back with that 1/2-inch socket, loosen it up a bit, and latch that into place. We'll push this bracket all the way over up against it and then retighten it. And then we're going to do the same thing over on our passenger side. With our clips in place on the rails, we can start unrolling our cover. Click it into place, and then we can make some adjustments if we need to. If you're seeing that your cover kind of sits a little bit higher, you might need to just kind of play around with the clamps just to kind of get it sitting flush. With the rails fully flush, the next thing you need to do is just come by and rub your hand down it, and that's going to push those hook and loop fasteners together from the tarp onto the ones that are in your rails. Final part of our installation is just going to be closing this up. Now with this cover specifically, I would probably close my tailgate first and then close the cover. That way the gasket at the end of it is overlapping the top of the tailgate, so all that rainwater, snow, anything like that that's going to get on here is going to flow right off and not get inside of your bed. Well, I think that about does it for today's installation and look at the TruXedo Sentry CT hard tonneau cover here on our 2024 Ford F-150. If you think that this cover isn't the right fit or just isn't the right kind of style for your application, feel free to reach out to us via the Ask the Experts link, comment on the video below, or you can phone in and one of our customer service agents will help figure out which cover is going to be the right fit for your journey.